Hello and welcome to the first ever virtual edition of our fall Raptor Release. My name's Dr. Victoria Hall and I'm Executive Director at the Raptor Center.
And I'm Jennifer VIETH, the Executive Director of Carpenter Nature Center. And while we're very disappointed that we don't get to share the Raptor Release with you in person this year, we got creative and we're doing a virtual Raptor Release this year so we can celebrate these birds' journeys together and learn more about both Carpenter Nature Center and the Raptor Center.
Well, and because we're coming to you virtually, you are going to get to see so much more of the journey of these birds than ever before. From exams to treatments to physical therapy to feeding, you're going to see it all. And we will go behind the scenes in what it takes to get these birds rehabilitated and strong enough again to fly free back into the wild.
And while we love learning about the birds, we'll also get to learn a whole lot about Carpenter Nature Center's environmental education efforts, how we protect and preserve these 725 beautiful acres along the St. Croix River Valley, and you'll get to learn a little bit about the bird conservation work we do every week here at the Nature Center. So sit back and enjoy. This is going to be a whole lot of fun.
We hope to see you in person next year, and until then, the Raptor Release. Hello, Dr. Hall again, and I'm here with Lois, our Education Ambassador, Great Horned Owl. And this time we're coming to you from the Raptor Center. Before we get to our first patient, I want to welcome you into the Raptor Center, located on the St. Paul campus of the University of Minnesota, and show you around and tell you a bit more about who we are and what we do. First and foremost, we are a hospital and rehabilitation center for birds of prey, treating around 1,000 eagles, hawks, owls, falcons, and vultures each year. These injured birds are brought in by our amazing community and volunteers from all over the Midwest, usually in need of urgent help. On arrival at our center, our specialized raptor veterinarians have the unique skills and knowledge to treat their injuries and then rehabilitate the birds so that we can get them back out into the wild where they belong, which is exactly what you're going to see today. While these individual birds tell an emotional and impactful story, we also know that our conservation mission is not just about individual birds. Raptors are a key part of the ecosystem, and with each patient that comes through our doors, we have a chance to learn more about the health of not just that bird, but the ecosystem that it came from. All of this information helps us research and respond to threats to our environment, the same environment that we as people share. We then take this important information to the public through our education and outreach program. Using the captivated power of raptors like owls, eagles, hawks, and falcons, we can inspire people to care about important topics that affect the entire ecosystem. We show that everyone can play a role in protecting these beautiful birds, as well as the environment which we share with them. We'd love to welcome you on a tour to meet some of the amazing birds that make the Raptor Center unique. Check out our website to see how you can experience these birds up close, either at our center or at your location. But today, you're here to see some rehabilitated raptors get released back to the wild. So let's get back to the release and introduce our first patient. The first patient you'll meet is a broad-winged hawk. This female hawk was brought into our center on August 9th, 2021, after being found in the ground, unable to fly, in Washington County, Minnesota. This is how most of our patients come in, where the members of the public simply find them on the ground. And then our specialized raptor veterinary team has to use radiographs or x-rays, physical exams, and blood work to figure out what's going on. In the case of this first patient, she had severe trauma to her shoulders, including multiple broken bones that would not allow her to fly. Fortunately, these injuries could be healed by rest, pain medication, and bandaging, but she also had damaged important feathers for flight. Now, instead of waiting for her to molt these feathers on her own, which could keep her in our hospital for a long time, we use a practice called imping. So there she is, placed under gas anesthesia to reduce stress, and we then clip off the damaged, broken feathers, and we use donor feathers, and we attach them through the use of wooden dowels and adhesive to the damaged feather shafts. That way, she has the feathers she needs to fly, and we can get her back to the wild quicker, and then she'll naturally molt these feathers and replace them with her own over time. So once her bones are healed and her feathers are in tip-top shape, she's able to start reconditioning, where she gains back the strength and endurance she needs to fly. We use a practice called creancing, where we attach these birds to a line, and they're flown by our flight crew volunteers on a field multiple lengths, multiple times a week, as they start to build back muscle and endurance. Typically, we try to return birds to their original location, but sometimes it isn't possible. when their original location isn't safe, the species is in mid-migration, like this broadwing hawk, or when the location just isn't known. All of the patients from this event are being released at Carpenter Nature Center. So let's check in with Jennifer to learn what makes Carpenter such a unique spot for releasing raptors and hear more about the work they do.
Carpenter Nature Center is a fantastic spot to release raptors because of the habitat our teams have protected. The site was originally owned by Tom and Edna Carpenter back in the 1940s, and since then we've worked to grow the protected habitat and restore some of the amazing different types of habitats. So we have from riparian habitat along the river to restored prairie to conifer woodland and mixed deciduous forest, providing homes for many different kinds of raptors. We have nesting bald eagles, nesting American kestrels, nesting owls, nesting red-tailed hawks, and we're also along one of the most major flyways in the country. So it's a little bit like when we release the bird, they're joining this migratory journey. They're jumping on Highway 94 to head south or head north, whichever season it happens to be. For 40 years, Carpenter Nature Center has been researching migratory songbirds. Each year, our volunteer team bands thousands of birds that are then recovered around the country. Carpenter Nature Center's birds have been recovered as far away as Alaska, Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, Missouri, Nebraska, Michigan, showing how connected each one of us is to the habitat around us. And just in the midst of the pandemic, we added a MODIS tower. So now we can track birds as they migrate through Carpenter Nature Center at times when we're not even here. We've shown that our site is essential as a migratory stopover. So the amount of work we can do to learn more about birds, their habitats, their breeding grounds, their wintering grounds, and their incredibly important migratory stopovers is what we're working on today. Now that you've learned about Carpenter Nature Center a little bit, let's cut to the first raptor.
Our second raptor for release is a red-tailed hawk. Now this bird is a hatch-year hawk, meaning it was hatched in 2021. And one of the ways we can tell this is by the coloration of its tail. This bird was found in Hennepin County, Minnesota, was simply found on the ground, unable to fly. When it entered into our hospital, it got a thorough physical exam, and this involved getting its weight and also examining for any abnormalities. We listen to its heart, we listen to its lungs, we look at the wings and the eyes and the feet. We also use blood work on this initial exam because it gives us an idea of what's happening inside that bird. This bird is also under gas anesthesia to reduce stress. We draw blood from it, and then from that blood we make slides that we can then look at individual cells under the microscope to look for signs of infection or anemia where they have low blood count. We also take radiographs or x-rays to look for any fractures. And this red-tailed hawk has a fracture of its coracoid bone. Again, that important bone that birds have that is involved in flying. Now, through bandaging and pain medication and rest, we were able to get the bone healed. And once the bone gets healed, the birds get to graduate from very small enclosures to what we call flight pens. In the flight pens, the birds are able to flap around a lot, to jump from the ground up to perches, and to start to regain some of that muscle. Now, once they get cleared, they're also then able to go out on that creance or exercise line. So our flight crew volunteers took this red-tailed hawk out multiple times a week and flew the bird multiple lengths on the fields. Now, the final stop before you go out the door is the pre-release examination. And this is when we do a full once-over of the bird again and recheck blood work and recheck radiographs or x-rays one final time. This red-tailed hawk's feathers are in tip-top shape, and all the rest of the exam looks great, so this bird is ready to go back to the wild. One final thing that we do for all of our birds, though, is give them a little bit of a pedicure as we sharpen those talons, because we know that they need to be nice and sharp so they can catch prey and perch on branches in the wild. Before we release this one, let's check in with the Raptor Center's naturalist, Kelsey, and Ambassador Red-Tailed Hawk Luda. They'll give you some up-close views and explain how to identify these hawks as adults and juveniles, and where you're likely to see them for yourself out in the wild.
Hi, I'm Kelsey, one of the interpretive naturalists here at the University of Minnesota Raptor Center, and this is one of our resident education birds we call Luta, who is a red-tailed hawk. She is a bird who was brought into our clinic like the red-tailed hawk you've been learning about, but she was not able to be released back into the wild because her vision is not quite sufficient for what she would need to survive on her own out in the wild. But she is an excellent education bird and teaches hundreds and thousands of people every year about red-tailed hawks. Red-tailed hawks are an amazing species of raptor that we can see all over a lot of Minnesota. You can usually recognize them by this nice rusty red tail that we see here on this adult red-tailed hawk. But we do also have juveniles, or kind of teenager first-year red tails, that have more of a kind of brown and gray stripy tail like the bird that we're hearing about today. You can also recognize red-tailed hawks by the pretty distinctive dark band across their belly called the belly band, which you can also see in juveniles. And the adults tend to have these darker colored eyes, whereas the juveniles, as you've been seeing, have a much lighter colored iris color. So those are some ways that you can tell them apart. You usually see these birds if you are maybe driving on the highway. We often see these kinds of raptors on those big tall electrical poles or light posts, sometimes on trees near the side of country highways. If you're seeing a very large, kind of dark brownish colored bird sitting on top of one of those tall perches, you're probably looking at a red-tailed hawk doing some hunting of small animals like mice, rats, rabbits, even snakes or lizards during the summer. But unfortunately, this isn't something that they've really adapted to, hanging out in areas where there are lots of cars and vans and trucks, all sorts of vehicles moving at really high speeds. They'll see a delicious animal on the other side of the road, swoop down to go get it, and unlike us, they're not looking both ways before they're crossing the street. So we do see a large number of birds, especially red-tailed hawks and similar birds, that are being hit by vehicles that are being brought into the Raptor Center. So that's one of the main sources of patients for us here at the Raptor Center. A really easy way to help out birds like red-tailed hawks is if you have any garbage, litter that you might have in your vehicle, keep it inside your vehicle, bring it on home, and put it away where it belongs in the garbage, recycling, or compost bin. That way we aren't encouraging those small animals to live near the sides of the roads. That way we can help keep it a little bit safer, give red-tailed hawks a little bit less reason to hang out in those areas. So we'll hopefully see fewer of them as patients. Now we're gonna get back to Carpenter and watch that red-tailed hawk release.
Our third and final release is a different type of hawk called a Cooper's hawk. She was found unable to fly, and members of the community found her and made sure she safely got into the Raptor Center, where we found out she had broken her scapula or shoulder bone. This type of fracture is healed through the use of a body wrap that you can see being removed there. Now, when a bird has to have their wing in a wrap for a long period of time, we want to make sure that it doesn't get stiff or the tendons or ligaments contract, because we need that wing to be in tip-top shape eventually when they go to fly in the wild again. So multiple times a week, we will remove that bandage while the bird is under anesthesia, as it is here, and we will do physical therapy, where we evaluate that wing and we stretch it gently and put it through different ranges of motion to make sure we're not losing the mobility of that wing as we're healing the bone. After physical therapy, we will reapply that body wrap because unfortunately, wild birds don't understand they need to keep their wings still to heal the bone. So we use bandaging to help ensure it stays still so that they can heal. So here, one of our raptor veterinarians is reapplying the bandage to its wing, and then we'll actually attach that wing to the main body of the bird so it stays nice and still so that bone has a chance to heal. Now, every time a bird's under anesthesia, it gets a complete exam so that we make sure we can evaluate the status of all of its injuries. We're able to make sure that it's not developing foot problems when it's in human care. We're making sure that we evaluate its body condition so that it's staying at a good weight. Now, after we're done with everything, we'll recover the bird and wake it up from anesthesia. And once it's fully awake, it is time for some medications. Birds get a whole variety of medications when in our care based on what injuries they have. Most importantly is pain medication, because we know adequate pain medication is essential for healing different injuries. If they show any signs of different infections, whether it's bacterial or fungal, they'll also get medication for that. Now, you can see in the background, we also have some tidbits of meat to feed this Cooper's hawk because nutrition is also an essential component of healing these birds from different injuries. We'll keep track on the status of the fracture of that scapula through radiographs or x-rays. And once those bones are totally healed and that wing is nice and loose because of all the physical therapy, she'll go back into reconditioning. Now, ultimately, this feisty hawk recovered and is ready for release back to the wild. Thank you so much for joining us as we celebrated a few of our recent Raptor Center patients going back to the wild here at beautiful Carpenter Nature Center.
We hope you enjoyed learning a whole lot more about both the Raptor Center and Carpenter Nature Center, but we'd love to thank some of the people that made this whole journey possible. First and foremost, I want to thank our volunteers. Without volunteers, both Carpenter Nature Center and the Raptor Center couldn't accomplish all that we do.
We also want to take a minute to thank the community because Carpenter Nature Center and the Raptor Center rely on the incredible, generous support of the community to really enable the work that we do.
And we're all looking forward to seeing you in person next year. Hopefully everything is back to normal. In the meantime, check out Carpenter Nature Center's trails. They're open 361 days a year, and of course this is one of the most beautiful times of year to visit the Nature Center with our apple picking and our amazing fall programs. We not only have this amazing Minnesota campus in Hastings, which is 425 acres of protected habitat, we also have 300 acres of protected habitat in Wisconsin. So if you haven't been out there yet, it's incredible. There's waving prairie grass, beautiful conifer stands, and mixed deciduous forest. We'd love to show you the trails. Stop by our website to learn more about this incredible opportunity.
We also would love to see you at the Raptor Center. So check out our website to look at tours, education programs, and how we can visit you with some of our education ambassador birds. So thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you in person next year and have a fabulous fall.
Stay safe, stay well, and enjoy time outdoors in nature.